Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video we are going to discuss the evolution of open world games. It started as early as 1970 when Sega released an arcade machine called Jet Rocket. Notably, there are no screens. This illusion of flying over an open space was created by a long moving canvas with lighting effects. A decade later, in 1980, Warren Robinette's Adventure releases, regarded as the first open world adventure game. Jump forward a few years and we start to see space games like Elite in 1984 and Mercenary in 1985 that offer large explorable spaces as a ship and even as in a person. Then a year later, in 1986, we have the first Legend of Zelda. Practically directionless, players had to discover dungeons and solve puzzles in a big map. It was widely popular. Meanwhile, low-poly 3D games were being created. We see games such as Vet and Hunter that explored the possibility of driving vehicles in 3D environments. And in 1992, Ultima came out. We start to see first-person adventure RPG games. Nearly 10 years later, the sequel to Elite, Frontier, comes out. In Frontier, you could journey across the generated galaxy, completing missions of your choice. It was ahead of its time, but more of that later. Next, in 1994, we have the first of the popular Elder Scrolls games, Arena. Just 2 years later, Bethesda Studios releases Daggerfall with significant improvements to open-world concepts. As for driving open-world games, we see Rockstar's first Grand Theft Auto in 1997. Then the following year, we have Ocarina of Time. Like the first Legend of Zelda game, it's another milestone in open-world adventure game history. Similarly to the first game, GTA 2 was popular, but within the same year we started to see other titles like Urban Chaos that offered 3D open-world experiences with similar themes to Grand Theft Auto. Somewhere around this time, we officially entered the era of 3D open-world games. Almost in response to this, Grand Theft Auto 3 moves from 2D to 3D in 2001. Evolving in graphics and capabilities comes Morrowind, the third of the Elder Scrolls games, in 2002. Interestingly, it seems like other studios recognize the popularity of these games, and we start to see competition arising, such as Mafia, a gangster driving game, and within the same year, a different studio releases Gothic 2, a fantasy RPG adventure. Near the end of 2002, Nintendo puts out Wind Waker, a 3D fantasy adventure game where you travel the large open seas by driving your boat. Skip ahead to 2006, where it seems like these fantasy adventure games are trying to secure their places as the best. We see games like The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess achieve both quality and quantity in their open-world game concepts. This is the start of an era where we start to see massive open-world games like Assassin's Creed in 2007 and the following year GTA 4. Notice how the players can move from inside to outside almost seamlessly without loading screens breaking the open-world immersion. Also, we can see a difference in graphics, camera modes, and gameplay from Grand Theft Auto 3. A little more than 3 years later, in November of 2011, we see two very popular releases just 7 days apart. First, we have Skyrim Elder Scrolls V, and then we have one of the best-selling games of all time, Minecraft, both offering massive explorable worlds. Then in 2013, we have GTA 5. These three games are still popular with their sequels more than a decade later. There are a lot of great open-world games released in this era, but none of them can compare to the sheer vastness that is No Man's Sky. Released in 2016, No Man's Sky offers an open-world experience like no other. There are 256 galaxies with hundreds of solar systems featuring planets and moons and space stations, all of which are fully roamable, procedurally generated places that are accessible by space travel. As we approach current date, it is difficult to mention all the different open-world games. You can see here the evolution of the Legend of Zelda series and Red Dead Redemption created by the studio behind Grand Theft Auto. But I want to take a moment to discuss some points. The most popular open-world games like Zelda, GTA, and Elder Scrolls are made by studios still creating similar titles and sequels to this day. Notice how frequently these studios released major games in the late 90s and early 2000s, how we are eagerly waiting for the release of GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6. Why did some disappear and some thrived? Look at the trend in these genres. Look at how these games all introduced adventure, how the worlds in these games got larger and more complex. Notice how we are still trying to create explorable universes roughly 40 years later. Well, keep exploring, adventurer, and thanks for watching.